Welcome back to Lightcraft Academy. One more video before I pack up my portable green screen here on Cape Cod and head back to San Diego for about 6 weeks back at my own green screen in my living room. But the beauty of Jetset is with a portable piece of green screen from Amazon and an iPhone, you can do virtual production anywhere on planet Earth, as we proved a couple weeks ago way up in Alaska. My topic today, as we continue with our FAQ October, is drop shadow. I get a lot of questions about how I'm adding drop shadows. It's pretty interesting that you can add a drop shadow to a 2D image and make that 2D image appear to have some depth. There's a couple ways to do this, both in post. You wouldn't want to intentionally drop a shadow onto your green screen. That would be counterintuitive because that would make it difficult to key out anything that's not that consistent shade of green. But in post, we have a couple of options to lay in a drop shadow, add some perspective, and of course, as you move around your set, that shadow becomes dynamic, and I think it further sort of sells the illusion that we are actually in what looks to me like a Brady Bunch house back from the mid-1970s. But from a technical artistic point of view, the light source in this room is coming from a lamp above the kitchen table, and so in theory, that drop shadow should be cast behind me, maybe onto the stairs, maybe a little bit onto the floor. And again, it's a dynamic block shadow, drop shadow, so when you move around, it moves with you. So let's do a deep dive into the editing process, the post-production process, and we'll lay in a drop shadow to this scene. There are a couple of ways to add a drop shadow in an editing app after you shoot your scene in Jetset. Before we get started, you can see the post-production color correction I like to do after shooting the raw scene in the Jetset app. If you are teaching a film course and working with students, this is an excellent way to really challenge them to learn some of the basics of color correction and adding cinematic grades to their projects. Back to the drop shadow, the first method for adding a convincing drop shadow is very straightforward. I simply download from within the Jetset app both my final composite and the original shot on my green screen. Placing the green screen take right on top of the original composite allows you to clean up your green screen key or cutout. From there, I just drop in the included drop shadow feature that most editing apps offer. You can then adjust the direction and opacity to taste. The other method involves stacking 2 copies of the green screen take on top of each other, and then taking the bottom green screen take and darkening it up and adding some blur and decreasing the opacity. I find that this method takes some fiddling to get it right, but in the end, the added drop shadow really can enhance the level of immersion that makes virtual production so unique. And here we are back in the Brady Bunch. I think we need some Brady Bunch music. Back in the Brady Bunch virtual set. By the way, I added this to our Flickr account with hundreds of 2D, 3D, or 360 sets for Jetset. Be back with you in a few days, back on the other side of the United States. As always, thanks for watching. And as always, as I always plead, please subscribe. Take care.